I want every politician in office that's soft on crime. I'm in New York, I'm voting for the current governor. Why? Soft on crime, bail reform, no bail, you get out right away. I love that. That opens the door for me to be a better criminal at that time. If I'm a mobster, remember, I'm talking to you now as a mobster. I don't want anybody messaging me and saying, Michael, this is what you truly believe. I'm talking as if I was still a Capo regime in the Colombo crime family. Hey everyone, welcome to another Sit Down with Michael Franzese. Hope everybody is doing well. I really mean that. And all is good on this end, and we give all the praise, honor, and glory to God for that. Appreciate it very much, Lord. A lot of stuff going on, midterm elections. People ask me all the time, a lot. You got to understand this. I get a lot of messages, both on social media, emails. You get it. I get it all day long, every day. People want to know how I'm voting, how I voted. Did I vote for the midterms? What's going on? Well, yes, I voted. Now that I can vote, I have that right back. Elections are important to me. Why? Because the issues are important. And people have said to me, Michael, stay in your lane. Don't talk about things outside of your lane. Don't talk about politics. Well, let me remind you of something. What is my lane? Yeah, the mob stories, the great. I lived that life, and obviously for half of my life. But I left that life in 1995. That's 27 years ago. I like to think I've had a life beyond that. Obviously, I've had. So what is my lane? Over the past 27 years, my lane has been number one, sharing my testimony, my faith all over the world. And I've done that hundreds, maybe thousands of times at this point in time. My lane is going into detention centers, speaking to youth, talking to kids in high school, in colleges, talking to professional athletes about the dangers of gambling. So that's been my lane. My lane has been a husband, a father. I have a lot of different things that I'm doing. We're creating television series. We've got stage plays going. I'm a mentor to many people. We have, leadership programs that we're putting out there. So what's my lane? I think my lane is any way that I can contribute. And you know what? The most satisfying thing to me is when I get emails on a daily basis, messages on a daily basis. Michael, I've been inspired by you. I've been encouraged by you, by your transformation, by the content that you're putting out on YouTube. So, my lane is wherever it takes me. And I'll never stop telling you the mob stories when I have stories to tell. I'm not going to create them or make them up. But if there's something of interest, yeah, we'll get into it. And I'll continue to do that. But there's some other things that are important to me. And right now, the midterm elections, are important. Look, I wrote a book, MAFIA Democracy. Okay, the story behind that book, I don't know if you know this, I think I might have told it. I started that book 7 years ago. My publisher, after I wrote, I'll Make You an Offer You Can't Refuse, my business book, they wanted me to write a political book. I started the book, they gave me an advance. I wrote 4 or 5 chapters, and for me, the take was very simple. Mafia democracy, our government is acting like the mob. I saw it then, I see it even more now. So I write the book, I write 3 or 4 chapters, I stop. I speak to my wife, I say, Cam, this stuff is realistic. The government's going to get mad at me. I'm going to expose some people. Why am I doing this now? I don't have any trouble with anybody. I went back to my publisher, I said, I'm not writing the book. I gave him back the advance, and that was it. Cut to 7 years later, I felt an obligation to write this book. Why? Not for me. I'm 71 years old. What's going to happen to me at this point in time? I've lived most of my life. Hopefully I got a few more years left, but my wife is still younger than me, my kids, my grandkids, they got to live in America. And I'm trying to point things out, for your benefit so that you hold our public officials accountable. It's not about politics. It's about issues that affect our daily lives. So I want to do something for you now. I'm going to do something different. Let's make believe I'm still a mob guy and I was entrenched in that life like I was back then, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And an election year is coming up and I'm going to vote. Who would I vote for? What issues would I vote for? And remember, it's not politics, it's issues. When we talk about issues that are impacted by the political spectrum, we're still talking about the issues. Don't always break it down to politics. It's issues that affect our lives. So let's go back and let's make believe I'm Michael Franzese, Capo regime of the Colombo family, and I'm asked how I'm going to vote on certain issues. Now, I'm not going to name politicians. I'm not going to get into all of that. I don't want to do that because then people get silly. Oh, you're a Trump supporter, I don't want to hear any of that. That's not what this is about. This is about issues that are affecting your daily life. So let's talk about the first one, crime. Now remember, I'm speaking as a Capo regime in the Colombo crime family. Crime. I want every politician in office that's soft on crime. I'm in New York. I'm voting for the current governor. Why? Soft on crime, bail reform, no bail. You get out right away. I love that. That opens the door for me to be a better criminal at that time. You know, I said this before. If Rudy Giuliani and the FBI would have come to me and said, Michael, don't worry, if we lock you up, we're not going to give you bail. You get out on bail, you'll be out in an hour, not a problem. Racketeering, we're going to go easy. Instead of getting 20 years, you'll get 2. Okay, we still got to do our job. Oh, okay, great. We're going to lessen the penalties across the board. We're going to do less investigation. There's not going to be much surveillance on you. It's going to be okay because maybe you'll be thankful and you'll turn your life around. That's a joke, people. I would have said, great, I'm voting for you. Whoever wants that, I'm voting for you. So any politician, any district attorney, any congressperson that's soft on crime, any governor, I want you in office. So just look around, okay? Anybody that's that way, as a mob guy, as a criminal, that's who we're voting for. Now, is that for the benefit of the public? No. I'm going to wreak more havoc on the public than I did before if the administration is soft on crime. So as a mob guy, I'm voting for soft on crime all the time. Now, you may say, but wait, Michael, what about your neighborhood? What if criminals come into your neighborhood? I ain't worried about that. Somebody comes into my community, I ain't calling the cops. I'm shooting them myself. We'll take care of our community. We ain't worried about the criminals because we'll keep them out or we'll kill them. That's the bottom line. That's reality. So yeah, that's okay. Soft on crime, I want you in office. And you know, back then, I'm going to tell you the truth, we voted for Democrats. Why? They were easier to corrupt back then. Just the reality of it, I'm telling the truth. Every politician that I dealt with back then was a Democrat. The one that got me the licenses for my gas business, Democrat. People that we contributed to fundraising to, Democrats. That's how it was back then. Sorry if you don't want to hear the truth, but that's how it was. Back then, I'm talking now as a mobster. Inflation. You know, I don't want inflation. It's not a great thing. So, you know, if there was a candidate that was anti-crime, I don't want him in office. You know, and back then we always thought it was the Republicans that were stronger on crime. We didn't like Republicans. I'm going to be honest with you. My dad hated Ronald Reagan. He didn't like him because he thought it was too much law and order. And anybody that was law and order, we didn't like back then. So soft on crime, we're voting for you. That's it. Inflation. It wasn't really an issue that we were going to deal with. We're making money illegally anyway, so, you know, how does inflation affect us? You know what? Probably more business people would come to us for loans, and we would give them money. You know, at 2%, 3%, 4% a week, we'd probably be able to, you know, get into a business easier. If they didn't pay us back, we'd take over their company. So inflation, you know, it didn't matter to us either way. It wasn't a real problem back then, so I didn't really have an opinion. Inflation wouldn't move the needle for me as far as a vote when I was a mobster. Gas prices, hands down. You know, I want the people in office that are going to keep the prices at the pump high. I would be making right now a fortune. The tax on every gallon of gasoline in California, I think, is 73 cents, the state and local tax. Add on another 18 cents. Okay, to the feds. You got almost $1. Do you know how I can undercut everybody else when I have $1 to work with? Okay, of the money that I'm going to be able to steal? Forget it. I want gas prices as high as they could be because I'm going to sell the gas cheaper. Okay, my stations, you wouldn't be able to get into them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Trust me. So anybody that wants gas prices high, when I'm a mobster, I want them in office. Remember, as a mobster. Now, in the general public, today, do I want that? Of course not. But as a mobster and a criminal, I want gas prices high. That's who I'm going to vote for. Okay, immigration. What's going on at the southern border now? Let everybody come in. Let them come in. Let them bring the drugs in. Let immigrants come in. If I'm a mobster, remember, I'm talking to you now as a mobster. I don't want anybody messaging me and saying, Michael, this is what you truly believe. I'm talking as if I was still a Capo regime in the Colombo crime family. Immigrants, bring them all in. Again, I'm not worried about crime in my neighborhood. I'm going to take care of it myself, and all my guys are. We're going to patrol our own neighborhoods. We ain't worried about that at all. But bring it in. You know why? Because then law enforcement is going to be distracted dealing with all this immigration. Anything that distracts law enforcement from dealing with me as a criminal, that's what I want to happen. So immigration, I don't care. Bring everybody in. Bring the drugs in if you want them. Again, we're going to patrol our neighborhoods. Do whatever the heck you want. I don't care at that point. So for immigration, as a mobster, let them come in. You want immigration? I'm voting for you. Defund the police. That's a no-brainer. I'm voting for anybody, as a Capo regime in the Colombo family, I'm voting for anybody that wants to defund the police. Take the police off the street. Less for me to worry about. Less for every criminal to worry about. It's insanity today. It's insanity. But back in the day, that would have been a blessing. Hey, get rid of the cops. We don't want them on the streets so that we can do our thing. Anybody that's for defunding the police as a mob Capo regime in the Colombo family, I'm voting him in. Foreign policy. Okay, believe it or not, okay, many mob guys were pretty patriotic. A lot of us fought in the war. We want America to stay strong. We want somebody in office that's going to stand up to all of these thugs in other countries. We want America to be number one. So as a mob guy, I'm still patriotic. I still want to defend my country. I still want my family protected. So we're going to vote for somebody that is strong in foreign policy. Now, that's kind of tough because strong in foreign policy and yet weak in crime, weak in other areas, you don't usually have that. You don't have that in one person. You don't have that in one party. So now it comes down to, as a Capo regime in the Colombo family, who am I going to vote for? Okay, when it comes to one party that suits me better as a criminal, it's going to be the Democrats. I'm sorry. It's always been that way. And as of right now, it'll continue to be that way. If I was a Capo right now with that mindset, I'd be voting Democrat. That's who I want in office. I don't want people that are saying we're going to refund the police. I don't want people that are saying, we're going to take care of inflation. I don't want people that are saying we're going to be tough on crime. I don't want people to say we're going to, watch the borders. We're going to make sure that, the borders are secure. Criminals think differently. And as a Capo in the Colombo family, that's how I would have thought. So what does this tell you? What does this tell you today? I'm not that guy anymore. It's 27 years later. I have a family. I'm a Christian, okay? I try to do the right thing in life as much as I can. I'm not perfect. Don't knock me for that. But yes, I do believe in Jesus Christ. He is my Savior. And hopefully, okay, I can act accordingly throughout much of my day. And that's what I try to do. But today, come on. I don't want the police defunded. I want my family protected. I don't want criminals roaming the streets. We have a lot of stuff going on here, right in my neighborhood. I don't like it. I don't want it. I want the police to protect my family. That's their primary job. My family and everybody else in the community. Immigration, I can't for the life of me figure out this policy. I only have one conclusion here. Why do we have open borders? First of all, I can tell you this. It's extremely upsetting to me for one reason and one reason only. Because of the illegal drugs that are coming over our border, because of the amount of fentanyl that's coming over our border that's killing 300 people a day, mostly young people. Anybody that understands that this is going on, and our administration knows it right from the top, the president on down, they know it because they're being briefed by our Border Patrol agents and they're doing nothing about it. Anybody with a conscience that allowing this to happen, I don't even want to tell you what I think of them. That's number one, okay? Number two, the only thought I can have is this. It's a scheme. Bring all of these people in. If you think that they're bringing these immigrants in because they have a heart for them, because they really care about them, because it's for humane reasons, then you believe in Santa Claus. And there's a bridge in Brooklyn I want to sell you. It's nonsense. They're dispersing them in different districts around the country. And then what they want to do is Ease up on the voting. Ease up on the voting requirements. You don't need an ID. Make it easy. All mail-in voting. Why? Is there going to be fraud? You bet there is. Okay? Of course there will be. And what else? Give them all money. Take care of them. Give them cell phones. Give them money. Give them shelter. Give them food. And when it comes time to vote, you remind them who did all of this for them so the vote goes in the same way. That's the only thing I can think of. Now, some of you may disagree and argue with me. This is my perception of it. This is my opinion. I can't think of any other reason why they want our open borders like this, letting criminals and possible terrorists and everybody else in. I got to tell you something. The audacity of our governor here in California, Governor Newsom, he had the nerve to cast some blame on a newscaster who reported on the DUI that Paul Pelosi received a couple of months ago. He was talking about it, and he might have said that Paul Pelosi got favorable treatment. Cut to this horrible incident that happened with Paul Pelosi. We all know it at this point in time. You know, he was hit with a hammer by an intruder that came into his house. Horrible. Guy didn't deserve that. He's 82 years old. You know, I feel terrible for him. It should have never happened. We don't condone anything like that. But the audacity of Governor Newsom here in California, a sanctuary state, the only reason the guy was in that house was because this is a sanctuary state. He was never deported when he should have been deported. He was a criminal. He's got a criminal record. He's a pedophile. He abused his children. Okay, he's got a long record. He was homeless. He's living in a bus someplace, you know, on the street. You know, he shouldn't have even been in the United States. But he's allowed to stay here in California because Governor Newsom allows these type of people to stay here. And he has the audacity to blame a newscaster who reported a story that should have been reported, Paul Pelosi, Nancy Pelosi's husband, okay, that he probably got favorable treatment from a DUI. He probably did. He's Nancy Pelosi's husband. Okay, that's the reality of it. But he wants to blame that reporter for the attack that happened when he knew that this was an illegal immigrant allowed in this country because he, Governor Newsom, allows this to be a sanctuary state. There's plenty of more illegal immigrants, criminals living in California as a result of his policies. This is the audacity. This is why I wrote the book, to expose people like this. He doesn't belong in office, as far as I'm concerned. He doesn't. Not when you make a statement like that, when you fail to take responsibility for actions and you try to blame other people. Take responsibility. You want this to be a sanctuary state? Well, there's certain consequences, and that was one of them. Paul Pelosi is one of those consequences, and the horrible attack that was made on him. You know, we got to hold these people accountable, man. That's what we have to do. That's why I wrote the book. And people, look, don't look at this as politics. It's not politics. Again, I can say this 100 times. These are issues that are affecting our lives. And unfortunately, it gets political. It shouldn't be. This should be cut and dry. Hey, illegal immigrant, he don't belong here. Let's put policies in place that take care of this. Instead, no, people have to worry about it. It's insane. It doesn't make sense. And please, again, don't give me this is for humane reasons. Nonsense. Nonsense. If these people are so concerned about them, they got plenty of money. Why don't they put their money where their mouth is? Any one of these politicians can practically afford to take the homeless off the street. Nancy Pelosi certainly can. Okay, she's worth $500 million possibly. Okay, while she's in office, by the way. Anyway, I don't want to go on and rant about this, but this is the truth. We got to look at things the way they really are. We got to look at it that way. So, listen, again, you see the difference between voting as a mobster, the policies that I want in place, and voting as a citizen like any one of you people out there that care about your life and your family and just, you know, getting through every day comfortably. That's all we want. We want to be through every day comfortably. We want to be safe on our streets. We want to be able to pay our rent. We want to be able to put food on our table, send our kids to school properly. And let me just finish with this. I, as a mobster and as a legitimate citizen, I don't want the government or any school board telling me how to raise my children. And I don't want them telling me that my child between the age of 5 and 11 has to get some kind of sex education that I don't agree with. That is insanity. And any politician, whether I was a mobster or who I am now, that voted or that was for a policy such as that, I'm booting his or her rear end out of office. And I think every parent out there agrees with me. That's it today. I don't want to go ranting too much more, but hope you take what I've said seriously, people. It's important. It affects our daily lives. So if you haven't subscribed, please do so. We're getting near 1 million. We're approaching it thanks to all of you. And it's a milestone. It's important. We've done it in about 2 years, and we've been very blessed to be able to reach that. And that's because of all of you enjoying the content. So that's it for today. How do I always leave you? Same way. Be safe. I think I've stressed that throughout this video. Be healthy. So important. God bless all of you. As a Christian, I really mean that. Be safe. Be healthy. God bless you. Yes, I'll see you next time. Take care.